Hey guys, Moose here. We are back with another episode of Stonehearth in our Ascendancy playthrough. And it has been a fantastic weekend here in California with tons of rain. The weekend was too short. I want a third day. And I'm getting one next weekend. I think there's a holiday on, not next Monday, but the Monday after. So there'll be some of that, which is nice, but I wanted it this weekend. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I want to do. I don't feel like I'm fully rested. Probably because I just finished working for Sunday, but nah. When I say working, I mean day job working, which is frustrating. But yeah, it was really beautiful. I woke up early in the morning today, like 8 o'clock. Fell asleep for another hour again after that because I recognized it's the weekend. I wanted to get a little more rest. Beautiful sound of rain. I mean, not so much because the drain pipe is right outside my window, so that's loud. But other than that, I love the sound of rain, and it was fantastic. You know what? I'm going to wind up moving up to Seattle, aren't I? There's just no getting around it. California's too sunny for me. Which is such, like, in my head, that's such an idiotic thing to say. But, like, I'm sitting here in the dead of winter in California. Yeah, it's been raining, so it's not, not the picture of normal or what you'd think when someone says California, I guess, but I'm craving snow. I'm genuinely craving, like, not just like, oh, it's snowing. I'm craving, like, downtown Toronto, fucking ice cold, freezing, like, -10 Celsius with dirty snow on the ground, and, like, God, these guys just do not want to follow orders. Alright, well, I guess the necromancer can stay out here then. Yeah, for some reason I'm just craving, like, it being effort to go outside, or it being, like, really brisk outside. I really want to... I want to put on my wool coat and a scarf. I want to put on my boots. I want to put on those thick wool socks and everything. Even though they're not actually wool socks, but that's the easiest way I can describe snow socks, I guess. They're thick socks. Let's go with that. Actually, I need to send my boots. Shit, I forgot my boots are all fucked up. I'm gonna get those replaced. But, like, mentally I'm thinking... And actually, that's probably not really what I'm craving. It would just be acceptable. Probably what I'm really craving is I want to go out to Tahoe, which is kind of the ski resort area over here in Northern California. And, I want to take a week off. I want to get Karen. I just want to get a nice, like, 2-story, someone's summer home, rent it out for a week, and just bring a shit ton of really good food and just spend the whole week, like, playing games. Could bring because this is me we're talking about, and I'm, frankly, if you're watching this, you're probably similar to me. If you're into games enough to be watching Let's Plays on YouTube, you're probably in as deep as I am, at least. So, bringing my computer and her computer that I built up there, couple monitors each, getting her... Well, I gotta figure out what the internet connection looks like out there. They gotta have internet now, right? I don't think they did when I was a kid, but how can you not now? If there's an outage, that would suck dick, though. But I think I do remember some power outages when I was up there. That would be pretty horrible. But in worst case scenario, you could play some offline co-op stuff. Like that even exists these days. Not just co-op, but offline. What's that, right? I guess Stonehearth is probably offline, huh? I really just want you guys to follow my fucking orders, please. What is your damage? You won't even go this far, huh? Maybe if I just leave it, eventually they'll go. Give them some time. Maybe it just needs to, like, propagate properly, so. But yeah, I'd love to just go and have... I want to wake up at, like, the crack of dawn, go get some, like, make a nice hot cup of tea, take my meds, which are not psychological in any way, by the way. It's, I have other stuff, like heartburn's one of the big ones. I didn't know I had heartburn for a long time, and, I actually used to be on meds for depression, but that's a different story. I had heartburn my whole life. it was always there. It was omnipresent. I thought that was just a normal thing that everyone had. I had no comprehension that that was an abnormal thing that shouldn't be happening. So eventually I started taking Tums, and that worked, but I was kind of like addicted to Tums. And it wasn't, I mean, I wasn't actually addicted, but it kind of like, if I went somewhere without Tums, it was like hell, because having calcium makes the heartburn worse long term. So you just kind of have to keep taking it. So what winds up happening is if I don't keep, like if I forget it at home when I go out, I wind up having really bad heartburn somewhere where I don't have anything that I can do about it. And that was pretty bad. So that, but yeah, that's one of the ones I take, not Tums, but another med for dealing with that, which has been great. I haven't really had significant heartburn in a long time. Which is good, because that actually has some long-term issues that it can cause for you. If you let it go on too long, and letting it go on for like 25 years of my life previously is not great. But enough about that. I just want to, you know, grab a cup of tea, crack it on just as the sun's coming up and the light's coming out, and just sit in a room with a giant window, which I know is impractical in a cold weather environment because it'd freeze the house, but I just want that, just any view. It doesn't have to be a very much, just of snowbanks and trees. That's all I fucking need. If you can give me a lake or a mountain, that's even better. Mountain and lakes like Tahoe would have, if you had the right view, fuck yeah, let's go. I'm in. I'm all in. Like, I would pay a good amount. Like, that's kind of where I want to live when I get old. Not gonna happen. I'm gonna wind up living in the suburbs or in a city. Even if I get filthy rich, it'll probably be that situation, so yeah, that's okay. Get a summer home or winter home, whatever, something where I can go and have that view, and just, that's really all I want. I want to be able to sit in front of a computer, do my work at home in front of a computer, which I could reasonably do. That's something I could accomplish, but it's going to take some doing. Maybe this is the route to that. Maybe developing a game is the route to that. I don't know, but it's a possibility, in theory. And live somewhere where, honestly, I'd be thrilled if I absolutely never had to leave my home. And I know, you know, being a shut-in to that degree, you know, why don't I just build a ladder here? Because if I build, they're going to come down. The military's right here anyway, so there's not like any downside to giving them access to the middle of my town. Okay, right? Might as well. But yeah, like, I would love to, like, never have to go outside. Like, just give me, and I've talked about this before, give me a home in the mountains where it snows all the time. Hard to access, hard to leave. Make it big. Give me superb internet, which is the real constraint. And then the other constraint is, like, drone delivery service for like fucking everything, and I'm good. That's all I need. I would die unbelievably happy, or at least I'd be thrilled for a short while, and then I'd get bored of it, and then I'd want to go back somewhere where I could actually interact with people. But honestly, I'm pretty happy being alone, so I don't know that that would really even happen. Probably sell some more of this. That would take I think it would take a long time to get to that point, because I kind of get, with the exception of, like, basically, not even family, but basically the only family that actually matters to me, Karen, I'm good. Like, if she's there with me physically, and we can cook together and play games together, and there's no one else, other than whoever I talk to online or whatever, I'm good. Like, that would be totally... I would be thrilled to be, like, a modern hermit, which would be, like, connected. It's really bizarre, right? Thinking about it, modern times, like, if you were in that kind of a situation, or you had feelings like this and you wanted to be alone, you'd be truly alone. I mean, it wouldn't be a situation where you could talk to anyone. You'd just be isolated. That'd be it. Someone might come up to wherever you were, but that'd be it. You'd be isolated. But in the modern day, you can simultaneously, and this is what I want, simultaneously be isolated in that you'd never really directly interact with anyone, but also be hyper connected. In that you've got an internet connection, you see everything that, not everything that happens in the world, but if it makes the news, you're going to know about it. And on top of that, in hypothetically a situation like this, if I was making YouTube videos, connected to everyone who's watching them. So on the one hand, you have the isolation of never physically interacting with anyone other than maybe one or two people, but then the connectivity of being online. And I don't know, I mean, I do know why that's appealing to me, but it's a very interesting kind of situation. Oh, you guys actually went up there. Fantastic. Okay, so if I just leave it, eventually you'll go do something about it. Fantastic. That's nice. So I just have to hope that when this happens, I see it quickly enough to identify whether or not the clerics are actually joining them. Because if they're not, they're fucked. Or at least in trouble. So that's good. And they didn't even build the ladder yet. I think we might be having some idle issues here. I mean, we are, but some of them are working. No, they're not really working. They're just moving stuff around, but they're definitely idle. So, which resource is it this time? Wood again? I think it's wood again. Yeah, based on the fact that they're not building the ladder, I think we're short on wood here. So let's do something about it. Plant some trees. It'll take some time, but this will give them something to do at least. But yeah, I'd love to be alone. And you know, there's psychological ramifications, but reasons for that. And you could say, oh, you know, well, I've got this, that, and the other thing wrong with me. And I'm not, you know, relatively good mental health overall. I just like being alone. I think that's sort of, it's not really like damage at this point that I would say. It's you could call it damage because it's the result of trauma, I guess, previous in my life. And I don't want to oversell what I'm talking about when I say this, because I didn't go through real trauma. Let's get that out of the way right off the bat. Straight up, I'd say almost everyone on this planet has a harder life than I do. So when I say trauma, I want to be clear. I'm not complaining. I've never really been abused. I've been emotionally abused, but that's pretty much it. And as far as abuse goes, it's serious. Emotional abuse is significant, and it should not be taken lightly. But considering the alternative opportunity, what abuse can be, it's nothing. For me, anyway. And on top of that, I'm an upper middle class white male. Like, come on. I have no reason to well, I have reasons to complain because everyone has reasons to complain. But I can't stand here and say, oh, poor me, my life's so hard. It's not. So when I say trauma, I want to be clear. It's like I'm not trying to lump myself in with a group that's been through much worse than I have. I don't think that's fair to them. So, but just the same, you know, the emotional abuse, if you want to call it that, which was, even for that, was relatively tame. Just kind of made me comfortable being alone. You know, like a lot of guys who do this for a living or for a hobby. And some not so much, but for a lot of us. You know, I was that kid in high school with the acne and, you know, loser, socially awkward. So I got used to being alone. And there's a certain degree of comfort in that. And I don't really begrudge anyone who wants that. But at the same time, I don't necessarily recognize that very well in other people, so I never really have occasion to care about this, but if I did, I sometimes don't recognize when people want to be left alone. Never really comes up anymore. I really interact, and this is sort of maybe a manifestation of what I'm talking about here, where I'm kind of happy being alone to some degree. I can count the number of people I interact with outside of work on, like, one hand if I don't count immediate relatives. If I do, then probably two hands. I think you gotta, yeah, probably two hands. So I'm really not, I have, yeah, I have a few close friends. I don't really, yeah, I should probably hold on to these, but I'm gonna sell them. I don't really have friends that are not close. I don't really do casual friends. It's just kind of not who I am. If I'm friends with someone, I'm myself. I'm completely open and honest, and I'm 100% me. I don't kind of tone it down, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. Whereas I feel like for some people, and this is, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. Just you kind of act a little bit differently. You have friends that you're really close with that you're really yourself around, and then you have casual friends who you just kind of have fun with. I've never really had that level of filter where I can kind of turn personality on or off. I don't think that makes me better or worse than anyone. It's just different. So, yeah, it's just who I am. But yeah, I don't really do that much. Obviously at work there's people I interact with, but that's out of necessity. I think you can't really judge that and draw any meaningful conclusions from it. Yeah, we're definitely fucked on wood. That's the issue here. So do I just say, get rid of these and see what happens? 2 blocks of wood is not really enough, but if that's what it takes to kind of get the ball rolling, then that's okay, because we do have a lot of wood as it is. I mean, a lot of trees. So yeah, anyway, like I was saying, I figure a lot of people, still, games are getting more popular, but I think a lot of people who play games are still kind of not, you didn't necessarily have acne, you weren't necessarily a loser in high school, you didn't necessarily feel more comfortable being alone. It's not about the details, it's an overall archetype of, I guess, a type of person, to a degree. And there's a lot of variety within that, but most of us, I don't think, could be confused with jocks. And that's coming from someone who played sports pretty much his whole life, and still is very, very into hockey. So I'm definitely not a jock, but there are some jock traits within who I am, I guess. Mainly sporting related that I'm into. But I've never been in particularly good shape though, so I guess maybe we can write that off to a degree. But yeah, I think there's some life experiences that we probably all had that, just by the nature of playing games, because they're even more popular now, they're still kind of, if you know who you're talking to, you can talk about it. But like if you're talking to someone who's older than you, particularly like in a job interview environment, it's like probably not really something that you'd mention. You deliberately hide the fact that you play games. Because if you don't hide the fact that you play games, there's a lot of assumptions that people who don't know any better are going to make about who you are and what you believe in. Or not what you believe in, but kind of your work ethic. And it's like, oh, you play games? You must be lazy like my son who just plays games all day and smokes pot or whatever. And that applies to some people. It's true about some people, but it's not a fair thing to say about everyone. There's lots of really, really impressive professionals who play games as their primary hobby. Just like any other hobby. It's no different than anything else. So, but the point that I'm trying to make is that because if you play games and that's a significant part of who you are, because that's something that you've traditionally probably had to hide, if you're around my age or even a bit younger, it probably influenced who you are as a person. Because I think having to hide something about who you are, having to feel ashamed of something about who you are, obviously not to a degree that some people have to deal with if they're, for example, someone who might be gay, probably has whatever I'm feeling way worse because of the social stigma that has surrounded that. Hopefully less so these days, but I can sympathize with what they probably have to go through just based on the fact that, hey, my parents thought playing games was completely not okay and then sat down and watched TV for 6 hours after work every day. And I was taught to be ashamed of playing games. So I can understand where someone would be coming from, where they have something else where, they're transsexual or gay or anything, doesn't really matter. Whatever not socially acceptable thing that's not really a big deal or anyone else's business. I can understand where they would be coming from when they feel that kind of stress of having to not necessarily pretend you're someone you're not, but hide who you are and not be honest about who you are. Simply because it's not even like, in the case of gaming, I wouldn't say it's like an active discrimination at all. It's just you kind of have to protect yourself from the assumptions that people are going to make about you, depending on what your hobbies are. And that's not unique to gaming. I mean, if your hobbies are driving around on a Harley Davidson motorcycle or something, people are going to have some assumptions about the type of person you are. And you probably have a particular look that is also going to make people make some assumptions about what you think, who you are, and how perhaps aggressive you are. So it's, you know, it's hardly unique to gaming, but I think that's probably a common experience that a lot of people who play games have dealt with in their life, and I think it's something that could unite people to a degree. And say, you know, hey, this has influenced who I am, and that makes us similar. So, anyway. Sorry, this whole episode has been kind of a weird tangent on just something that to me is interesting, but there's a lot of topics that I think are interesting that probably aren't very. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too annoying or pointless or rambly. But, I don't know, I think there's a lot of things in life that if you just kind of sit back and think about, and it's easy to say like, oh, well, what did you smoke before doing this episode? Are you high? No. I've never smoked. That's not it. It's just interesting to me. I don't know why. Can't explain it. I hope it's interesting to you as well, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. So, thank you for watching. Like I said, hope you enjoyed it, and hope you join us for the next one as well. Take care.